I want to talk about true worship versus false worship. Especially, we're getting close to the time where Christmas is, people are going to start buying Christmas presents and these sorts of things. So I figure this is a good time to do this. First of all, I'll start off in Psalms 19, verse 7, where it says, "The law," which would be Torah, not the law. They mistranslated that. "The law, the Torah of the Lord of Yahweh is perfect, restoring the soul. The testimony of Yahweh is sure, making wise the simple. The precepts of Yahweh are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of God is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true. They are righteous altogether. They are more desirable than gold. Yes, more than much fine gold." And you know how much we tend to appreciate gold in this society. Gold earrings, gold rings, gold all over the place. Sweeter than honey and the drippings of the honeycomb. Moreover, by them your servant is warned. In keeping them there is great reward. So in keeping the commandments, there is great reward. Well, they were commanded in Leviticus 23 to keep the holy days of, not of the Jews, but of Yahweh. Not of the Jews, just of the Jews. And then we go on here in verse 12. "Who can discern his errors? Acquit me of hidden faults. Also keep back your servant from presumptuous sins. Let them not rule over me. Then I will be blameless, and I shall be acquitted of great transgression. Let the words of your mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my rock, my redeemer." And so we want to see this as, his commandments are perfect in restoring the soul. Well, part of those commandments is the holy days, just like loving one another. And these are all a direction. You read Psalm 119, which I would highly encourage people to read, and Leviticus 23. We see in Psalm 119 all about the law and how good it is and these sorts of things, but people say, "Oh, well, we're not under the law, we're under grace." Well, okay, but you follow the Torah because you are saved. It's a flag of your salvation. Every ambassador has an embassy. Every embassy has a flag. Torah is our flag. And the holy days are part of that. The holy days, the Sabbath, are part of that. And one of the things you see, what split the two kingdoms, Judah and Benjamin were the remnant, and the rest went with Jeroboam. And you read in 1 Kings 12, starting from verse 25 and going to verse 33, and there's other parts of it too. And so you have where he, in this passage, he makes two golden calves, one for Bethel and one for Dan, one to put in Bethel and one to put in Dan. And he, in verse 32, you see Jeroboam instituted a feast in the 8th month on the 15th day of the month, instead of the 7th month and the 15th day of the month. So he changed the times just like they did with Christmas, just like Constantine did with Christmas and Easter and Sunday worship. They were changed the times, and we're following that. People follow that as part of tradition and culture. But we read, like the feast which is in Judah, and he went up to the altar. Thus he did in Bethel, sacrificing to the calves which he had made, which was not the way the worship that they wanted. And Israel never returned. Israel never came back from Assyria. Judah did. That's what Ezra and Nehemiah are all about. Rebuilding the temple, rededicating the temple, and they teach them the law. They teach them the way to live after they came out of Babylon. That was the whole point. It was to restore the people. They read, you can read in Ezra and Nehemiah where Ezra read the law and explained it to the people. That's what you see happen today in synagogues and Messianic synagogues as well. That's why they go through the Torah portions every week. But that's what they did. They read the Torah, and the Torah is what sets us apart. It's a flag. As ambassadors, following Torah is our flag and it is the wedding contract which we keep, which doesn't include Christmas and Easter and Halloween and all this stuff. Just to finish reading here, verse 33, then he went up to the altar which he had made in Bethel on the 15th day in the 8th month, even in the month which he had devised in his own heart, and he instituted a feast for the sons of Israel, and went up to the altar to burn incense. And then in chapter 13, starting in verse 2, he cried against the altar by the word of the Lord, and said, O altar, altar, thus says the Lord, behold, a son shall be born to the house of David, Josiah by name, and you shall sacrifice the priest of the high places to burn incense. And on you he shall sacrifice the priest of the high places who burn incense on you, and human bones shall be burned on you. Human bones! Human sacrifice, ladies and gentlemen. That's where bonfire comes from. And one of the things that's what happened with Elijah. And also John was a form of Elijah as well, which makes this important. If you turn over to 1 Kings 17, or actually 1 Kings 18, and I would highly suggest you read the whole chapter, but for the sake of time, I'm only going to read part of it. It says in verse 21, Elijah came near to all the people and said, How long will you hesitate between two opinions? If Yahweh is God, follow him. If Baal is God, follow him. But the people did not answer him. And basically you read on, and whoever answered by fire, it was the Lord, was the one that they should be following. And the prophets of Baal did their things with the mutilating their bodies and all this sort of thing, and praying or whatever. And then Elijah prays, and the fire consumes it. And that should give us a clue that Baal is not Yahweh, obviously. And also, one of the things to look at, people love quoting 2 Chronicles 7:14. But one of the things that people tend to miss, and this is about the tabernacle and goes to the holy days. People want to quote 1 Chronicles 7:14, that if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and will turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and heal their land. I will forgive their sin and will heal their land. But people don't go back to part of the time is this was, you can read down in chapter 7, verse 8, 9, and 10. 10 says, Then on the 23rd day of the 7th month, he sent the people to their tents, rejoicing, happy of heart, because of the goodness that the Lord had shown to David and to Solomon and to his people Israel. So, if you read this, they observed for 7 days and dedicating the temple. The temple was dedicated at Sukkot. Same thing in Nehemiah. It was at the time of Sukkot, because it says specifically that they make sukkahs. It says that they learned, and this is after they come out of the captivity, and teaching them the law. So we need to learn, do the things of Yahweh, not the things of the world. And this is the narrow way. The Bible is the narrow way. What it says, its holy days, its Sabbaths, the Sabbaths that were instructed by God, not by Constantine. Who is your master? Is Yahweh your master, or is Constantine your master? And the Catholic Church and all these, because that's where it all came from. The Reformers didn't change it. So we really need to look at our worship. We love one another, but we keep the feast always a redemptive plan. And the temple was dedicated at Sukkot. And think about it. It's the wedding feast. The time when he dwells with his people. It's not by coincidence. Shalom, shalom, and may Yahweh bless and keep you.